And welcome to Bulls Digest. This is the pregame, or actually the postgame, not the pregame, the postgame to the Memphis Grizzlies and the Chicago Bulls. And so tonight, the Memphis Grizzlies beat the Chicago Bulls 142 to 131. And so we're going to jump into the key takeaways for tonight's game. And so, look, this is a tough one for the Chicago Bulls, no doubt about it. Taking the loss, I think anytime is going to be tough. But I think the key takeaway from tonight's game has to be the fact that the younger players really played exceptionally well when given the opportunity tonight. And even though that this game really got away from the Chicago Bulls, it was the younger players and some of the players off the bench that actually made this pretty close down the stretch. And so I think that that is really going to be the key takeaway. And so in the first half, before we jump into the box score, just to let you know how this game kind of shaped out, starting with Vooch was having a really good game. He had 10 points in the first, or 10 of his first 13 points, were in the paint. So he was doing a great job as far as establishing himself in the paint. And then with the Grizzlies, they were very efficient in the first half. 18 assists to 23 made field goals. They were doing a great job as far as making terrific passes, which generally led to some good three-point shots. And in the first half, they shot 45.5%, and they were able to keep that pace. I think that the MVP for the Grizzlies tonight, it was Scottie Pippen Jr. He had 30 points. He had 10 assists. And I mean, he looks great. You can really see that his experience with the Lakers and in the G League, it's really paying off. And just listening to Sam Mitchell talk about him, he's on NBA TV. This is where this game, I believe, was broadcasted. And he's just talking about how Scottie Pippen Jr. has really played himself into being a really good player that potentially could be maybe a lead guard for a team. And so depending on how this situation really shakes out with Memphis. But yes, I have to give him credit tonight. I think that he did a terrific job as far as leading this team. I think he did a great job as far as getting downhill. He did a great job as far as drawing fouls. I think that he was really good in that area and just making the right decisions to get this Grizzlies team in the right direction. And I think that that is big for them because obviously with John Moran out there, that's what he does. He's a very good decision maker for this team. And so with that being said, I want to talk about really some of the MVPs of tonight's game. And I really want to start with Modest Buzelis. All right, so Modest Buzelis finally plays some meaningful minutes in this one, and I think that this was key for the Chicago Bulls to see this today because, look, we've been wanting to see Modest. We've been needing to see Modest, and we finally see Modest. And so this was huge today to see him play. And look, I don't even know what else to say. I'm so glad that he absolutely, he gets a chance to play. That's what it's about because you see the growth tonight. And I think that Modest, man, it's not even about the confidence is there for him, right? It's just about giving him the minutes to go out here and play tonight. And so from his statistics tonight, 29 minutes, which that might be a season high in minutes, 14 points, look, 2 of 5 from downtown tonight, 3 rebounds, he had an assist, he had a block, but more importantly, he was plus 10 in the box score, and I think that that might have been the best on the team tonight, but he played exceptionally well. I thought that he ran the fast break well, getting out in the fast break, and then there was a moment where he drives to the basket, he knocks somebody off of him and goes up for a nice shot, and you're starting to see some of the things that we saw on tape is really translating. And I loved what Stacey King was saying throughout the broadcast that, look, you don't have to throw Modest Buzelis out there and have him play the 4 or the 5. Play him at the 3 and let him go from there until he gets some strength. But look, I think he was the MVP tonight, in my opinion, in a losing effort. And I just loved everything that I saw from Modest Buzelis. And yes, he didn't make every shot. No, he didn't make every defensive rotation. Yes, he got beat on some stuff. Yes, he gave up some silly fouls. But I see the real bright spot in Modest Buzelis. You see, he certainly can be an important piece for the Chicago Bulls. And this is big for us because I think as Chicago Bulls fans, we're wanting to see the younger players play because we know this team is not where it needs to be. And you have got to find out who is going to be around when you start to get this team in the right direction. And Modest Buzelis is a player that I for sure think he's going to be there for the long term. And speaking of these younger players and going on with the bench tonight, look, I thought that we had some exceptional efforts from that. THT tonight, look, 10 points. He had 5 assists, 2 rebounds. He had two blocks, yes, and he was +3 tonight. And so to see THT be a defensive presence and just also be able to go out there and be a steady piece of the offense tonight, that was good to see that from THT. And I love the fact that he doesn't play as much, but when he gets in there, he seems to be impactful and he knows what to do with it. And then Chris Duarte is a player that I talked about in the pregame, saying that he was probably going to have to get some minutes with the Chicago Bulls, 5 games in 7 nights. And so you see him get in, immediately knock down a 3-point shot. He was +9. Javon Carter had to play. He hit a 3-point shot, excuse me. And so that was +9. And so, look, we're seeing Billy Donovan go ahead and have to utilize a deeper bench at this point, and that's what we needed to see. And I love what Sam Mitchell was talking about at the halftime for this game. And he says that, look, a lot of coaches are out here complaining about, not having enough off the bench and stuff like that. Like, in order to get your bench where you need it, you need to develop your bench. And I think that we see that tonight. Like, that was probably one of the biggest takeaways. And when I started off saying that it was about the younger players, that's what it's about. Because, yes, you might not have a franchise player, but you probably have some players that you can build with. But the only way that you're going to see that is you need to play them. And that goes for E.J. Liddell. I think that E.J. Liddell helped us down the stretch. One of the things coming into this year, really around him, coming out of the draft, was could he knock down 3-point shots? And you saw that today. Like, I think that he hit some big shots to keep the Chicago Bulls in this game. So that was critical tonight. And so, that really takes care of kind of the bench and kind of the standouts there. As far as the starters are concerned, look, Zach Lavine, I know he didn't play as great tonight, but he still was an MVP to go along with Vooch, because they led us in scoring, all right? 29 from Zach Lavine. Vooch had 26. And I think that Vooch just got to a point where, like, there were times in the first half where the Chicago Bulls just needed to go inside, and they didn't do that. And so I think that really kind of maybe slowed down maybe a run that we could have had there. I think we could have maybe got back into the game a little bit more had we gone into Vooch a little bit more there. So that was a little disappointing, but he still had 26 points. He had 8 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal tonight. He was -12 in the box score. Zach Lavine, scoring buckets, 29 points. He got hot in the third quarter, kind of got us back into it for a little bit. 3 rebounds, 2 steals. He was -18 tonight. Didn't have as many turnovers, but I just think, like, for him tonight, he tried to pick his spots, and that's kind of what he's been doing throughout the year. It's just that we just didn't have enough together as a team tonight really to get this one back to where we would want to. But anyway, I liked his scoring output. And so Kobe White really struggled tonight. 11 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. He was -5, like, just really, really struggled. And I think another MVP for me tonight is going to be Josh Giddey. So I think that Josh Giddey, I saw the confidence today. That was what was big for Josh Giddey tonight. Like, he looked a lot more assertive on the offensive end. And then defensively, once again, he made some good plays. He had 2 blocks tonight. Like I said, he looked like he knew exactly what he wanted to do. Like, tonight, you see him use his length. Like, there was times he was getting to the rim. And there was this one play, or maybe like 3 minutes in the second quarter. It might have been maybe some of the best defense that I've seen from Josh Giddey throughout this season. Like, there was one play where he gets matched up on Jared Jackson Jr., and he holds up with him until his help comes over, and that's Jalen Smith. And then I think that eventually turned into a turnover where we get the ball back. And then there was another situation where it was right before he throws that pass ahead to Modest Buzelis, who I think gets that dunk. He reaches in, kind of knocks the ball away. That turns into a turnover. So lots of good activity from Josh Giddey on the defensive end tonight. And like I said, I think that he's doing the things that he can really control, which is focus on the assist, focused on the rebound. So Josh Giddey, ton of credit tonight for what he did. So I definitely think that he's an MVP. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over into just the chat tonight and see what's going on here. So let's see. Starting with my man Podco Fishing. What do you think of Modest tonight? He played almost 30 minutes. So look, I think that Modest was terrific tonight. I think that it's great to see Modest play. I mean, I think that we've all been seeing that whenever you throw Modest out there, he's been able to be impactful. He's been able to learn from that situation. He's been able to get better. And I think we're seeing defensively he's getting much better. And I talked about this in the pregame with some of the quotes from Billy Donovan. I think he's trusting Modest Buzelis a lot more. And Modest Buzelis, like, he's just not one that loses confidence out there. And I don't know if you guys noticed it tonight, but you're starting to see him go to the basket more. Like that play where either he throws one of the Memphis defenders off of him and he goes up. It looks a lot of the stuff that we saw in Summer League. He's starting to do it out now with the bigger club. And so that's what we wanted to see. And I just think it's a matter of time. And it's like, it's the perfect situation. It's unfortunate that we have some injuries, but it has forced Billy Donovan to play Modest Buzelis and some of these younger players. And even though we lost tonight, I think we're finding out that the work that they're putting in off the court, it is showing up. And so next up, them giving up 142 is silly. Yeah, it's tough because right now, look, the Chicago Bulls are definitely going to score the basketball. And I just think that defensively, it's kind of an option. And I talked about the 3 minutes in the second quarter or something like that where we saw some great defense from Josh Giddey. Like, that just comes down to, just as a team, a lot more energy, a lot more effort to go out there and play defense. I think that that's all that is. And so as much energy as they put into playing offense, they need to bring that to the defensive end. I think that that is really the key for this team to kind of turn the page there. Now, do I think that they're there from a personnel standpoint? No, I still think that they still need to add some stuff here. Some players on the team currently have to get better. And so that's why you need to have these younger players continue to play. So next up, it has to be a defensive scheme issue. Everyone on the team are bad defenders. And so when you talk about that, I think that, yes, when you're talking about schemes and stuff like that, like there is a little bit of a scheme that goes into this, but it also just comes down to just the energy, the effort. And that's what was talked about on the broadcast. Like, have got to just bring that same energy. And that's what the Chicago Bulls don't do at times. They just don't bring that same energy on the defensive end. And, I mean, they were active tonight. Like tonight, before I jump into the team box scores, I mean, from a block shot standpoint, they were able to get some block shots tonight. And so that shows that they were active there as far as knocking away shots and stuff like that at the rim. But once again, I mean, just as a whole, it's just sometimes where they go these moments where they're just letting teams just get anything they wanted. Like Memphis, I mean, it was ridiculous the way that they were shooting the basketball from the three-point line tonight. And one of the things that Sam Mitchell talks about throughout the broadcast is that, look, the Chicago Bulls need to go and at least start to guard there first and then work your way back. I mean, they literally were just leaving that open on the break. And, I mean, Scottie Pippen Jr. was just finding people. Like, there was just a whole bunch of defensive breakdowns. But, yes, the Chicago Bulls, they absolutely have to get better on the defensive end. And so I didn't mean, my bad. I don't quite understand what you're saying right there. But, yeah, just going back to your comment. But defensively, yeah, the Chicago Bulls have to get a little bit better there. And so let me go ahead and push forward, and let's look at the team box score tonight. I think, like, the key takeaway from that is just that Memphis, they shot the basketball very well. 57.3% tonight. Look, 45.2%. From downtown. I talked about how they really shot the ball very well in the first half, and I think that was the key to the game for Memphis. Like, when we were scoring our little two or whatever, they were going down and they continued to score three-point shots, and that was tough for us tonight. Like, we just could not stop them from hitting all these three-point shots. And so, I think when you look at the box score there, you see that with us. Look, tonight, 50.5%, not bad as far as the field goal percentage is concerned, considering we shot a season high 57% the game before, so not too bad there. And we were 45.2. It's just that Memphis could not miss. Once again, they beat us up in the paint, 64-58. The Grizzlies win there. The turnover battles here on this sheet, it shows 11-11. I went to ESPN. It says that it's 14-11 actually. And that was in favor of the Chicago Bulls, all right? And so, look, 14-11 there. So 14 for the Grizzlies, 11 for us. But like I said, on this stat sheet, it shows 11-11. But, yeah, I mean, so not bad turning the basketball over, considering that we've done, like, at least 20 at times. And so that was a good thing. Fast breaks. Look, the Grizzlies, I just talked about how we didn't guard the three-point line. Like they were doing like just pretty much walk-in three-point shots because they were 28-10 as far as fast breaks are concerned tonight. So they crushed us there as well. Going back to the comments, let's see. I meant all of them are bad defensively. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's not necessarily, one player that you want to kind of look at. I mean, as a team, like I get it, like we don't have, like there's obviously some individuals that don't play very good defense. But yes, as a team, I think that if we were to lock in, then we're probably going to get a little bit more better result there. Like I'm not saying that we're necessarily going to win these basketball games, but yes, it's not going to be something like we saw tonight where there was just too many open shots. I think that there were a lot of times that Memphis just really got what they wanted to as long as they were patient. I talked about like the assist to field goal makes for the Memphis Grizzlies. Like it was really good tonight. And so, that's just what it is. And so until this team gets to that point where they lock in defensively, we probably get this roster that's a little bit more defensive minded. Like we're probably going to see these efforts on a night-to-night basis. The first unit could not get a defensive stop tonight. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, our first unit, because Ayo, he struggled tonight. Because, like, when I'm looking at Ayo and his stat line, look, he was negative 25 tonight. He had 8 points. He had 5 assists. He had 1 rebound. But there were several times where, I mean, I think his defense is there, but just people were scoring. I mean, I just think that that's what it was. But, yeah, I mean, our starters, it was tough out there. It was tough out there for us tonight. I liked what I saw from Giddey and Modest. Yeah, I liked it too. And I think that they need to play together a little bit more. And what I like about that, and I'm glad you mentioned that, is because you could tell Giddey had a lot of confidence tonight and he really believed in what he was doing out there tonight. And he knew exactly where to go because once Modest started to kind of go off there in the second quarter, you saw Giddey looking for him. And I love that tonight. And so that's a great point. Yeah, I think that Josh Giddey and Modest really played well tonight. So next you say that Ayo and Kobe both struggled. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, just talked about how Ayo was like negative 25 tonight and defensively he got beat. And then Kobe, I mean, he just really couldn't find it tonight, even though he did score the 11 points. But yeah, tough outing for both of those players. But those are two players that I have really believed in and continue to believe in because even in struggling nights, I think that they find ways to get it done. And so, yeah, but good points though. And so, all right, guys. So just wanted to kind of drop a quick little pregame, or I keep saying pregame, postgame to the game here tonight. Unfortunately, the Chicago Bulls lose to the Memphis Grizzlies 142-131. I think that at the end of the day, we saw that, again, our younger players off the bench kind of put this or made this game a little bit more closer than what it was. And so I think we got a chance to see just the work that they're putting in. I'm glad for Modest today. I'm glad for Josh Giddey. I'm glad that these guys are starting to find themselves and get a rhythm. Hopefully this challenges Billy Donovan to now go a little bit deeper in the bench. The last point that I want to leave with is like, Sam Mitchell during the broadcast is saying like, look, you got Steve Kerr, he's out in Golden State, he's playing 12 players. And so he's like, at some point as a coach, you have to realize that you got to utilize your bench and you can't just keep playing 7, 8, 9. Like you might have to go a little bit deeper. And I think that that's what this team is going to have to do in the long term. For right now, they need to figure out what they have. They need to figure out what rotations work, and the only way you do that, you got to keep putting these players into the game. So lastly, it says, I'd love to see the combo of Jalen and Vooch on the court together. To me, he's a natural power forward, and we've been missing. He's not a center. And so, yeah, I mean, I would like to see, I just talked about that. Like, I want to see some more combinations. I think once more, we need to see some players on the court, and we need to see what type of chemistry they have. We need to find out what works and what doesn't work. And I think that has to do a little bit with, or not a little bit, a lot to do with Billy Donovan and him trusting these players on the bench. Like, look, we're not slated to win an NBA championship this year. It's just not a realistic thing with this roster. The only way to get there is you've got to find out what you have, and that means playing these younger players, putting out different combinations. Like, I'm just glad to see that Giddey and Modest are on the floor together. I mean, you talk about them being like, pieces that you want to build around. How could you possibly be building with players if they're not even out on the court together? And so stuff like that, that's stuff that we wanted to see in tonight's game. And so, like I said, a good one as far as having to play these younger players. And so, but that's it, guys. I'm getting ready to do now a post-game video to this one. So I appreciate everybody in the chat for coming over, making some comments that I've had to go ahead and reply back to. I appreciate you guys out there, because we don't have anything unless we have you going ahead and commenting, liking, subscribing, and sharing to the video. So it means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest. And so anyway, I'm getting ready to jump on this post-game video. And so I appreciate you out there. And even though the Chicago Bulls lose tonight, I am saying go Bulls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.